Hello, wonderful ladies and gentlemen. My God, you are all absolute legends. So, I just recorded this podcast for my Spotify channel, and I thought it was so useful that I'm going to dump it over here on YouTube as well. It's a podcast about what you need to begin your self improvement journey, what you need to begin working on your goals and being successful and happy and living that beautiful life of abundance and joy. Enjoy. All right, you wonderful ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about what you need to begin your self improvement journey. And these are just 7 things that I've found are the most helpful with my coaching clients. I've coached quite a few hundred people at this point. I've been doing this for a long time. These are sort of the common traits I see, or the common skills, I guess you would say, that I see in people who are successful. But these are the things they have at the start of their journey. And I want to make it very clear, if you don't have some of these things, or maybe you're not super confident in your ability with some of these things, that's okay. One of them actually deals with that, and I'll get to that in a second. But the more you can develop these traits, or the more you can just start to focus on these traits, the more successful you will be and the more momentum you'll get at the start. So the very first one is intention. And if you're listening to this podcast, you probably already have this. So the intention to want to be happier, the intention to want to be more peaceful, to feel less of those strong sort of negative emotions, like anger, fear, rage, frustration, pain, etc. The intention to have a bit more love in your life, love towards yourself, love towards your fellow man, your fellow woman. The intention to achieve a goal, the desire, I guess you would say, to be successful in some way. You don't have to want to be a millionaire, I don't want those things, but the desire to be a little bit further along in the future than you are right now. In other words, the desire for self-improvement, the intention to self-improve. And you already have that, or you wouldn't be listening to this. But we can go a little bit further with intention and add in the intention to take responsibility. A lot of people are very happy to be the victim. And some of you might feel parts of that within yourself. You say, it's not fair, women reject me. It's not fair, guys won't pay me any attention. It's not fair, why are other people more happy and successful than me? That's playing the victim. That's the victimhood mindset. But part of success is the intention to say, I'm going to start taking more responsibility. And that's something that you slowly work on. You don't have to suddenly wake up and be a complete badass. But there's books that help with this. Obviously, my Play to Win video course covers mindset a lot. It's literally called Play to Win, how I developed or how I built a winner's mindset. Literally about mindset. But another book that's really helpful is Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink. It is literally a book about taking ownership of things, taking responsibility, setting that intention to improve and to take responsibility for your own life. Because nobody's coming to save you. If it is to be, it's up to me. If you want a happy life, you're going to have to be the one to do it. So intention is the very first thing. The second thing that I find very, very helpful for people at the start of their self-improvement journey is devotion and dedication. In other words, you say, okay, I have the intention, I want to improve. I am going to dedicate myself to self-improvement. Or I'm going to dedicate myself to weight loss or talking to women, whatever your goal might be. You say, I will dedicate myself to this. I will set aside a little bit of time each day to go and take some baby steps, and that's all you need at the start. You don't have to dedicate yourself to like 2 hours in the gym every day. No, just go for a 10-minute walk every day and start with that, and then dedicate yourself to improving that every day. So you might build a habit of walking around for 10 minutes and that's your exercise to lose some weight. Once you've done that for a few weeks, you know what? Fuck it. I'm feeling a bit confident. I might do 15 minutes every day. You know what? I'm feeling confident now. It's been a couple of weeks of that. Now I'm going to do 20 minutes. And you just slowly dedicate yourself to building up that minimum that you do every day. That's all that's required here. You don't have to go crazy and, go to the gym for 5 hours a day. In fact, usually when you try and do too much or try and do everything all at once at the beginning, you just burn out and you think there's something wrong with you and you go, see, I knew I couldn't do it. I can't even go to the gym for 2 hours a day. What's wrong with me? And then you quit. And so baby steps are the thing that makes you more long-term successful because it's more sustainable. You can do a daily step or a baby step every day. You can do a bare minimum every day. That's possible for literally every human being on the planet. And if you say, no, I can't do a baby step today, That means your baby step was just too big. Break it down, divide it in half, do an even smaller baby step, and then you can do that. There is always something you can do. I talk about this in the Play to Win video course. There's a chapter called Every Problem Has a Solution. And in that chapter, I talk about there is always something you can do. There's always some tiny little baby step. Even if you're sick and you're laying in bed and you can't get out of bed, there's something you can do to move towards your goals. Even if all you do in that moment is think about your goals for an hour and daydream about your goals, that's progress. You're literally thinking about your goal and getting your mindset right. You could do some mental exercises. You could do some meditation. That will help get your mind right. That's progress. So there's always something that you can do. And if you devote and dedicate yourself to your self-improvement journey, you will eventually get there. You could almost just say these two things that I've just said here are the only things that are really required to achieve a goal, to be successful. Intention and dedication, or intention and devotion. Have an intention. I would like to achieve this goal, or I'd like to do this, or I want to be more like this. That's the intention. And then devote yourself to working on it, to taking little baby steps. I basically sort of cover these two in my 3-step formula for success. If you haven't heard me talk about my 3-step formula for success, number 1, give yourself permission to suck. Number 2, just take a little baby step towards your goals every single day. Number 3, just keep going. You see how that's kind of intention and devotion and dedication? Have the intention to set that goal and then give yourself permission to suck. And we'll talk about that in a second. That's just called humility. And then take a baby step every day. That's devotion and dedication. And then just keep going. That's devotion and dedication. So you could just take intention and devotion. And those are the two main things that are required for you to be a happy, successful, kick-ass, legendary warrior, But there's some more things on top of that can help even more. And so let's talk about them. So what I just said, intention and devotion, take those two things and that's your formula for success. The rest of these things help a little bit more. Humility is a really, 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 really helpful trait when you're working on your goals, especially at the start. In other words, give yourself permission to suck. That's what I mean when I say give yourself permission to suck. It's having the humility to say, yeah, I'm not special. Other people were not very good at this goal or this task or this thing when they first started. Why would I be any different? Other people sucked at this when they first started. How could you possibly know what you don't know? How could you be good at something that you haven't really done before? That's insane. And it would be egotistical and very arrogant and maybe a little unfair to myself if I expect that I'm just going to be good at this thing when nobody else was, or 99% of people were not when they first started this. And so giving yourself permission to suck at the start is humility. It's you saying, I'm not that special. Why would I be good at this? I don't need to be good at this. Success does not require you to be good at something, especially not at the start. Success requires you to suck at the start and then just take some baby steps and take some action. Success doesn't require you to be good at the start. It just requires you to take action. Action is all that is required for success. And so if you just take that action, even if you suck at the start, you will slowly improve. You'll become more competent. You will get better. You'll eventually get to a point where, yeah, you're pretty decent. But I can't tell you how many times you guys and girls will ask me questions. There's even been a couple of YouTube comments recently from people saying, how do I do this in a good way? How do I be good at this? How should I do this? How do I make sure I'm confident at this? How do I let go of my insecurities? How do I do this perfectly? And it's like, you can't. Even if I tell you the perfect way to do something, you will fuck it up anyway because you haven't done it before. So go fuck it up and then do it a whole bunch more times and you will get good. Do you think I just woke up one day suddenly knowing how to talk to women? No. Do you think I knew how to have a threesome the first time I ever did it? Hell no. I've talked about it on my blog. You can go and read the story of my first threesome and a lot of other threesomes since then and a lot of other sexual experiences I had. You'll see in a lot of them, I had no idea what I was doing. I was nervous. I was insecure. I doubted myself. That's how this goes. Working on the business, working on coaching. I have done so many videos on my YouTube channel with Emmy and by myself talking about all of my doubts with the business. I've done a video called My Neediness with My Audience, my neediness with you guys and girls. I talk about all the neediness that I've had, all the insecurities I've had, the fears I've had, the doubts. I've done videos called I Have No Idea What I'm Doing. I'm just winging it. I'm just figuring it out as I go. I did an article called I Am Always Full of Doubt. I'm just not someone that's confident. Why would I be? I'm not insane. You would have to be arrogant and insane to be confident with something you haven't done before. We would call that delusion. We call that arrogance. We call that insanity. And yet, so many of you say, how can I be confident with this thing I haven't done before? I haven't gone on a lot of dates, but how can I be confident and charismatic? Earn that. That is something that you need to earn. You don't just snap your fingers and get that. You have to put in the work to get that. That is something that you build. How do I get a girlfriend? You earn it. You build it. You take little baby steps every day towards improving yourself, towards putting yourself out there and talking to women. You talk to a lot of women because a lot of them are not going to be single or they're not going to be interested in dating you. You talk to a lot of women and some of them say yes, and then you go on some dates and you suck at it. And maybe you don't know what you're doing and it's a bit clumsy and awkward. You might have to go on 5 dates or 10 dates, and then finally one of them says, yes, I would like to date you, or I would like to have sex with you, or I would love to be your girlfriend. And boom, you build that. How do you have a loving, amazing relationship? You build it. And humility is also very helpful because it means you will listen to advice that is given to you. I cannot tell you how many times I do a YouTube video or a podcast here or, something like that, and people will argue. Usually not the person themselves who's asking for help, though sometimes they will, but it's often other people. But people will argue and they will say, no, Andy, you're wrong. This won't work. And they'll give all the limiting excuses or limiting beliefs or the excuses, or they'll talk about how they're special and, this advice won't apply to them. And they will argue and they'll say, well, I believe this is different. You're wrong, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, that's not humility, my friend. Which one of us do you think is in a better position to understand these things that I'm talking about? The person who is, one, older than you and so has lived more and done more and achieved more. The person who has had sex with, at this point, hundreds of women and so probably understands sex and dating, is in a long-term relationship with his girlfriend of 6.5 years now, so probably understands that more than you do. Has also been dating Bronwyn, the girl that we've been seeing for 2 years. So there you go. I'm simultaneously doing 2 long-term relationships right now. Has coached hundreds, getting towards 1,000 people at this point, and helped men and women achieve the lives of abundance and joy that they want to. Has obviously, that's essentially living hundreds of lifetimes if you think about that. I have hundreds of data points now of different people and what works for them. I obviously have a YouTube channel and a blog and a podcast and an email list where I help other people. And so I've helped even more people through all of that and read their comments and seen what works for them and seen what doesn't and learned and all of that. I have read hundreds of books on this topic, on the topics of self-improvement and goals and success and happiness and all of that. I've watched tens of thousands of YouTube videos at this point. I have them on in the background all day, every day, non-stop, motivational and inspirational and educational and all of that. I've been doing this a lot longer than basically anyone that would argue with me in the comment section, because anyone that's actually done the things that we're talking about here doesn't go into YouTube comments and argue with people. Like, why would you argue? You're living your life of abundance and joy. You have no need to argue. And so I never argue with those people. I will sometimes correct them if I feel like I think it will help them. But a lot of the time I ignore the comment. I'm not really interested in arguments with people that don't really have any proof. Anyway, the point of that beautiful little rant there is a lot of the time people struggle with humility and they will argue with the person giving them advice. And you don't have to take advice from me. I'm not the expert. I'm just a guy that's done a lot of things and helped a lot of people and all of that. And I just talk about what's worked for me. And that might not be what works for you. That's fine. Go listen to other people, blah, blah, blah. But if you find yourself sort of arguing with people that give you advice or discounting it and saying it won't work for you, you're an extra special case, that can be a lack of humility, or that is the ego talking, that part of us that says, I know better than the person that's giving me advice and that has done the thing that I'm wanting to do. And so humility means you won't listen, a lack of humility stops you from listening to people. So humility means listening to people that are giving you advice, even though that little part of your brain jumps up and says, no, wrong, this won't work, this guy's wrong, he's wrong about me, he doesn't understand me. Like that little voice in your head, if you can just take a deep breath and say, okay, I don't know any better because I'm at the start of my journey. And so I'm going to listen to the people that are further along than me, that have done the thing that I want to do even though my brain is telling me to argue with them and to talk about how it won't work and, blah, 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 and that they're wrong and all of that. I'll take a deep breath. It's a struggle, but I will be humble enough to listen, and I will actually try what they're saying, and I'll give it a proper try. A lot of the time we half-ass something and do a tiny bit, but we don't really have the humility to give it a good go. Like guys will go out and say, well, I talked to like 20 women and I didn't get a girlfriend, so it doesn't work. And it's like, that's not really giving it a go, my friend. That's a beautiful start. That's incredible. But have the humility to realize that it might take 100, 200, 500 women that you need to approach before you go on some dates and have some sex and have some relationships. I don't know how long it will take. It's different for every person, so it will be different for you. Some people go out and have sex with the third woman that they approach. Some people take literally 500. It's such a varied thing because it has so much more to do with your mindset, what you're actually doing, the action that you're taking. Are you actually doing the steps like telling her that you want to go on a date, telling her that she's pretty, telling her that you'd like to kiss her? Like, are you actually doing that stuff, or are you just playing it safe? There's so many different variables that go on. But have the humility to realize that it might take you a little bit of time and a little bit of patience. And we'll talk about patience in a second, because spoiler alert, that's another one of the qualities that really helps with achieving your goals and being successful. But have the humility to listen to the people that are giving you advice. And again, if you don't want to listen to me, that's fine. But have the humility to not fucking argue about stuff that you don't understand, stuff that you haven't walked the walk. That little arrogant or egotistical voice in our heads that wants to jump up and say, I know better. I have limiting beliefs and I'm a special exception. It's like, shut up. Just shut up and have the humility to listen. That's what humility is. And I find myself having that same voice too. There are lots of times my head says, or my brain, my ego says, no, this guy's wrong. His advice won't work. And I literally in my own head say, Andy, or ego, shut up. Just listen, just try his advice and see if it works. And a lot of the time it does work, and it's like, wow, I was wrong. And so humility is being humbled, giving yourself permission to suck, starting, and then what you'll find is sometimes you do get humbled. Someone says no to you, and you feel a little hurt by that. That's being humbled. That's building your humility. That's a beautiful thing. Maybe you have some expectations of something. Those expectations don't come true and you feel humbled. That's a beautiful thing. So many of you run away from rejection or failure or mistakes, and you go, I want to avoid rejection at all costs. No, see it as humility. See it as building your humility. Every rejection is humbling to you. That's a beautiful thing. It helps you let go of your ego and realize you're not that special, and that success only requires you to just take action like everybody else has who's successful. They literally just took action and did the thing. They had the intention, they devoted themselves to it, and they had the humility to learn and listen and get that feedback and not have their ego get in the way and their expectations get in the way. And so humility really, 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 really really helps. It's the one thing that I would say most people are missing who feel like they're stuck and that they don't have the success they want. They don't have humility. They haven't given themselves permission to suck yet. And that might be a lot of you listening. You don't have the life that you want because you're scared of rejection. You're scared of going out there and failing and making mistakes. In other words, you have an ego. And we all have an ego. I have an ego too. But you're giving into your ego. You're letting your ego run the show rather than letting your humility guide you. It takes tremendous humility to give, or it doesn't take tremendous humility. It takes a little bit of humility to give yourself permission to suck and say, I might look like an idiot if I go and start working on this goal. I might not know what I'm doing. I might feel stupid. Other people might even judge me or criticize me. And they might. Who knows, But that takes humility. And so turn towards humility, turn away from the ego. You don't have to let your ego run the show. You don't have to be defensive. You don't have to argue with people giving you advice. You don't have to sit there and come up with a list of limiting beliefs. In other words, limiting beliefs are really just reasons why you think you're special. Other people achieved this goal. Other people did the thing that you're wanting to do, but you're somehow special. That's the ego talking. Depression can be a form of arrogance. I did a video on this, and I was depressed and suicidal for 8 or 9 years, and I've worked with lots of depressed clients, so I understand depression very deeply, but it can often be a form of specialness. We say, I'm extra special, I'm extra fucked up, I'm extra depressed, I'm extra low, my life can't be fixed, my problems cannot be solved. Other people have solved their problems and they've come out of the depth of hell. I was definitely in hell for a long time when I was depressed and suicidal. Other people have worked through their own hell, but I can't. My hell is extra low, or I don't have the energy, or I'm extra depressed, or I can't do it, or I'm an extra loser, or God or the universe doesn't love me, or I'm a big failure. It's a form of specialness, and that's okay. That's just the function of the ego. It tries to protect us by telling us that we're special, because if we're special and we don't have humility, then we don't have to take action. We don't have to risk failure. We don't have to risk looking a little bit silly. We don't have to risk stepping out of our comfort zone. And so that feeling of depression, or that feeling of I'm not good enough, or limiting beliefs, that is a way of you trying to keep yourself safe, or your ego, your brain is trying to keep you safe. And so have the humility to step out of your comfort zone. Have the humility to suck a little bit at the start. So that is one of the biggest things that can help you with success, and one of the things that's missing with a lot of you, and I say that gently, but there's a lot of you that haven't given yourself that permission to be humble, and that permission to get humbled, to be humbled, to have life knock you down a little bit, to look like an idiot, to suck a little bit, to have no idea what you're doing. There's beauty in that. You get to learn humility, you get to learn resilience, you get to learn to pick yourself back up after you have a fall, you get to learn perseverance and the ability to just keep going. All right, the next thing that is incredibly helpful with self-improvement is, and you don't have to have this one, but insecurity. And that might sound like a funny thing, but insecurity is something that you probably have. We all have insecurity to some extent, and you slowly let go of that over time. Or I would say you slowly replace that with self-respect, confidence, competence, like the ability to be decent at something, self-love, acceptance. But at the start, right now, you're probably going to have a little bit of insecurity. And so use what you've got. Use that insecurity as a little bit of fuel to devote and dedicate yourself to your self-improvement. You can also use insecurity as a really nice way to learn some humility. Your insecurity, or that fear that you probably have of like, what if I suck at something? What if I'm not good enough at something? What if other people judge me? That's literally insecurity. That's like the definition of insecurity. See that as humility. You go, okay, the fact that I even am insecure means I don't think I'm God. I don't think I'm perfect. I don't think I'm just amazing. I'm literally insecure. So that's like the evidence that I don't think I'm perfect at this thing. Wow, that's humility. Holy shit, I already have this humility thing that Andy's talking about. Okay, let's get started. Why don't I start on my goals? I'll use my insecurity as motivation. I'll use this fear that I have of, dying unhappy, which is something that most of you have, or a lot of you have. I'll use that fear or that insecurity of dying unhappy. I'll use that as motivation. That insecurity that I'm not good enough, I'll use that as motivation to work on my self-love and work on my feeling like I am good enough and work on achieving goals and success and happiness and all of that. So use what you've got. And if right now you're insecure, that can be a very helpful motivator. Now, if you feel like you're not super insecure and you're relatively happy, you just want to achieve some goals, beautiful. Like, you don't need insecurity. It's not a requirement. But if it's something that you have, it's not a bad thing. So many people are afraid of their insecurity. In other words, they're insecure about their insecurity. And we can beat ourselves up for it. And we go, fuck, man, why am I such a pussy? Or why am I such a coward? It's like, use that insecurity. It can be incredibly motivating, incredibly helpful. A lot of the goals that I worked on at the start, like definitely my sex life, that came out of insecurity. Now, the goals that I work on are born out of love and excitement and joy and wanting to give back to others and all of that. Like, all the goals that I'm working on now come from a place of love. But at the start, no, they came from a place of insecurity. And so that was very helpful. I'm grateful for the insecurity, but eventually you replace it with love or excitement or just peace. Now when I work on a goal or start a new goal, it's a very peaceful feeling. It's a very peaceful process. I'm just sitting around feeling pretty peaceful, feeling pretty zen. And I say to myself, what goal do I want to work on next? And I have a big list of goals that, excite me that I might want to work on in my life. I've got like hundreds of things on there, like a bucket list, basically. And I'll go through that and go, which one of these do I want to start working on next? And I'll just pick one. It's a very like peaceful, calm process. But at the start, there was a lot of insecurity there. So use what you got. All right, the next thing that is incredibly helpful with self-improvement is accountability. You are probably not, let's just say you're not, going to improve a whole lot on your own. There are some things you can do by yourself, and a lot of you are very sort of infatuated with the idea of the lone wolf. I'm going to do everything by myself, and then I get all the credit, and then I get to be the underdog, and it's me versus the world. Like, that can be a very sexy story, and I definitely had that at the start. But if I'm honest with myself, every goal I ever achieved was with the help of other people. I haven't achieved a single goal by myself. At the start when I was depressed and suicidal, I had friends, therapists, doctors, family members, definitely my family, and people that helped me. I didn't have a lot of friends back then, but I made some friends, and then they started helping me. But my family at the start, I wouldn't have overcome my depression without them. My sex life, I had 2 very good friends that would help me and push me, and then another friend who's probably still my best friend at this point in time, 10 years later. These 3 people especially pushed me, talked to me, were there for me, supported me, loved me, helped me. I had the Good Looking Loser forums, which was a forum that I was on, that did so much to help me. And I had all these different people and places that really, really, really helped me and pushed me to greatness. And I wouldn't have been able to do anything without them. And so there's, again, this sort of obsession and almost jerking yourself off over how exciting it is to be the lone wolf. But you're not going to improve on your own, or you're only going to be able to go a certain distance on your own. You can do a lot on your own, and that's why it's sexy to think about being the lone wolf, but you eventually hit a breakdown point, or you go through a rut, or you quit, or you take a break, or you feel lost and you're like, I don't know how to get to the next step. And so the benefit of having accountability partners or other people that have done the thing that you're doing or are currently doing what you're doing, or mentors or coaches, any of these different people, is that they can help supercharge your progress. You'll get like 100 times more done if you just let people help you. So obviously I'm very happy to be your accountability partner, and the other coaches, I have a coaching program. There's a link in the description to that. You could also get friends and get them to support you. Just tell your family, tell as many people as you possibly can, get some accountability. You could join forums. There's all these different beautiful people out there in the world, support groups, etc. Therapists, if you need that, people that will help you and want you to win. Go out and get those people, but you're going to achieve 100, maybe 1,000 times as much if you let people help you, which can require humility. It can be difficult to ask for help because the ego gets in the way and it goes, no, like they might judge me and I have to do it all myself and I don't deserve to ask for help, and real men don't ask for help. And, lots of women will say, I don't want to be a burden. Have the humility to realize that you're not that special, and other people who were successful literally required the help of other people. I have not achieved a single goal by myself. But if you say, I want to achieve my goals by myself, you're literally saying I'm more arrogant than Andy, the person that I'm learning from right now. And anyone else that you might listen to on the internet or who might be giving you advice or mentorship, if you try and do it on your own, you're literally saying I'm more special than that person, because all of them did not do it on their own. They all had help. They all had people they learned from. They all read books and watched YouTube videos and learned and all of that from other people. And then that made them successful. So if you say, I'm going to do it by myself, you are literally saying, I am more special and I am more arrogant than the people who have already been successful. That's literally not a factual statement. They are ahead of you. They have achieved more than you. That doesn't make them better than you. But you're then saying, I'm better than them, even though they've done the thing that I want to do and I haven't done it yet. So have that humility to say, okay, I will let people help me. I will ask for help. If it's scary at the start to ask for help, that's okay. It was fucking terrifying for me too. You give yourself permission to suck with asking for help. You take a tiny little baby step towards asking for a little bit of help each day. You just slowly open up and be a little bit more honest, a little bit more vulnerable. You can do that with baby steps. You don't have to suddenly become ultra humble and ultra, open. It's something that you can slowly build piece by piece, day by day. It took me several years to be able to ask for help properly. Like literally, it probably took 3 years to get decent at it. I slowly improved at it over those 3 years. So it's okay if it takes you a little while too. Speaking of years, Something else that's incredibly freaking helpful with goals and self-improvement and success is patience. And sometimes your goals might take several years. And it's okay if you struggle to be patient. It's okay if you argue with reality sometimes and say, I should have my goals right now. People should give me what I want right now. I shouldn't have to struggle or get rejected or fail. I should just get all of my success right now. Like a little kid just demanding candy from the store. I want candy right now. You can have candy after dinner. I'll get you some ice cream after dinner. No, I want it right now. We can often be like that with our goals. We throw a little tantrum. We say, why am I not having the success that I deserve? It's like, you don't deserve anything. Success just requires taking action and doing the steps over a long enough period of time. It has nothing to do with entitlement or deserving or worth or any of that. It's just, did you do the steps for long enough? And every single time I meet someone who's like, I'm really frustrated, I'm not getting the results that I want, every time it's that they just weren't patient enough. They hadn't done it for long enough. And maybe they were doing some things that could have been done a little bit better. And maybe we tweak some things and change some things and say, hey, try doing this instead of what you've been currently doing. Sometimes you take action and change things. But most of the time it's just, yeah, dude, this is how long it's going to take. Maybe for you and your journey, it might take you a year to get good at this. Maybe it takes 2 years. That's how long it will take. And if you can think a little bit more in terms of years rather than weeks or months, then you can help yourself have a little bit more patience. It can also help to focus on the progress that you've already made and give yourself credit for the progress you've already made, which can require humility. Because a lot of the time your brain will say, no, it doesn't count as progress. It's not good enough. It doesn't count as progress until I've achieved my goal. And you're sort of missing all the little victories and the little baby steps that you've taken, and you're not celebrating those. And so that can require humility. Humble yourself enough to say, you know what? I have taken a lot of baby steps, and that's really cool. I have had some victories, There was a guy on my YouTube channel recently who's been on 500 or who's done 500 approaches and been on 7 dates and hasn't had sex yet because I think he's a virgin. So, virgins, generally speaking, this is a very general statement, often need to go on a lot more dates than anyone else does, just because they usually don't know what they're doing on the date. They usually don't do the really obvious stuff like, I would like to kiss you. Would you like to come back to my place? Like, they don't make a move, essentially. And then they're like, how come these girls don't sleep with me? Because you didn't ask them to. You didn't tell them that you're interested in them. And virgin guys usually take a little bit of time to figure that out. If they're in my coaching program, I'll tell them that immediately. But generally speaking, virgin guys take a few more dates before they have sex and before they have a relationship, right? Because they're just inexperienced. Anyway, this guy on my YouTube channel had done an amazing job of going out and approaching 500 women as a virgin, which is just insanely courageous. Isn't that just the most wonderful thing ever? That's insane. I can't believe this guy's courage. I don't know that I could have done that as a virgin. Probably not. I was probably too scared. He's been on 7 dates with 7 different women. He hasn't had any second dates because there were a few things that he wasn't doing. Like I said, he wasn't telling them that they're pretty. He wasn't saying, can I kiss you? He wasn't saying, would you like to come back to my apartment? He wasn't doing any of that. He wasn't making the date fun and sexual and, making it clear to them what he wanted. He wasn't being open and honest with them and saying, I want to hook up with you. Would you like that? And so the dates were feeling a little bit boring, a little bit friendship oriented, and there's probably some other stuff that he's doing that he doesn't even realize he's doing. But the point is, he had been on 7 dates, which is an incredible victory, especially as a nervous virgin. Is that not the most insane amount of courage ever? That's a huge win. That's like the world's biggest accomplishment. If he never did anything for the rest of his life except for that, you could say this man has a pair of balls, the size of New York City. This guy is a legend, a virgin approaching 500 women and going on 7 dates. Amazing. But he was sort of beating himself up and feeling hopeless and a bit lost and saying, man, I haven't had sex. It's not fair. Or he wasn't quite saying it's not fair, but he's saying, I'm feeling a little bit down. I don't get why this is happening, blah, blah, blah. And so what I got him to focus on is, number 1, patience. You're a virgin, you're inexperienced, you're probably doing a lot of things, not wrong, but like a lot of things that we could do better. Make it clear to the women that you want to have sex with them. Invite them back to your place. You're going to have to make some sort of move if you want to have sex with them. Invite them back to your place. That's a move. Tell them that they're sexy and you want to kiss them. That's a move. But the fact that he's already had these 7 dates is a massive victory. And so he wasn't sort of celebrating that. And that leads nicely into the last thing that is really helpful with your self-improvement journey and goals and success, and that is gratitude and celebration. This guy wasn't celebrating the victories and the baby steps that he'd already taken. He wasn't sitting there and saying, you know what? I'm grateful for the fact that 7 women went on a date with me when I'm a virgin and I'm inexperienced, and these women didn't even know me. I walked up to them on the street and approached them, and they said yes. How amazing is that? That's something worth celebrating. That's something worth being grateful for. But his expectations were sky high, you know? It only counts as a victory if I have sex with someone or get some second dates and have sex. I'm only going to be happy and celebrate if this all works out for me. And what will usually happen if you don't celebrate those little tiny victories, you know, him having 7 dates, that's not even a little victory. That's insane. That's amazing. But what will usually happen if you don't celebrate is you will just do what's called moving the goalposts, otherwise known as the hedonic treadmill. You will go on a bunch of second dates and you will go, wow, I got some second dates, but I haven't had sex yet. It's not good enough. You'll eventually meet a woman and you'll have sex and you'll go, yeah, but she only had sex with me once or twice. She didn't stick around, so that's not good enough. You will eventually have a woman stick around. You'll go, yeah, but she wasn't as pretty as I could do. You know, I could find someone way prettier, so it doesn't count. It's not good enough. And you will just keep doing that time and time again because you don't have a habit. You haven't built a habit of, number one, humility, and number 2, celebrating and being grateful for the tiny little victories that you're having. And again, 7 dates as a virgin is not a tiny victory, but the fact that he couldn't even celebrate that and give himself credit for that proves to you what I'm talking about here. This hedonic treadmill can be very intense. You know, moving the goalpost can just be such a strong habit that you build. There's another guy in my coaching group right now who, when he first came to the group, he was a virgin and he was going out and approaching like 15 women a day, which is insane to me as a virgin. But that wasn't good enough. He's like, yeah, but I'm not getting any phone numbers. And I feel like a loser and it's not good enough and blah, blah, blah. And we got him to really start to appreciate the fact that he lives in a world where he can go out and approach 15 women a day. And he's allowed to do that. That's something he can do. That's already something to be grateful for. We got him to start celebrating and giving himself a pat on the back for the fact that he's going out and approaching like 10 to 15 women a night. That's insane. Like, what courage. Celebrate that. Be proud of that. Love yourself for that. Improve your self-esteem with that instead of lowering your self-esteem, which is what he was sort of doing before he came to the coaching. He was saying, yeah, but I'm not getting any phone numbers or not as many phone numbers as I want. So therefore my self-esteem is going down. Instead of seeing it as a reason to increase your self-esteem, lots of the time we see these things as a reason to decrease our self-esteem. You know, I've approached 15 women tonight, but I didn't get many phone numbers. So my self-esteem goes down. I've done 500 approaches, but I've only been on 7 dates and I haven't had sex, so my self-esteem is going down. It's like, why would you not use that as an excuse to raise your self-esteem? And how do you do that? By having gratitude, by celebrating. You know, accountability partners can help with that. That's one of the things we do in the coaching program. We go crazy. We're celebrating people's little tiny baby steps and victories. I do that in the YouTube comments as well. You'll notice that I always celebrate all of your tiny little baby steps and I give you so much credit and I say, this is amazing. Now let's take more action and take it to the next level and change this and, you know, start taking this action instead. Like, I'll get in there and change things and give you advice and tell you what to do differently, but I will always celebrate your tiny little victories because that is happiness. Being grateful and celebrating is how you be happy. And that stops you from moving the goalposts. I have an entire fucking chapter on this in the Play to Win video course. It's the second last chapter. It's called Gratitude, Mindfulness, and Self-Reflection, How to Not Move the Goalposts. It is literally a chapter on how to not move the goalposts. I highly recommend all of you grab the Play to Win video course, especially if you've listened this far into the podcast or this far into this podcast, and you can pay whatever you want for that. Even if you just pay $1, that's fine. I appreciate your $1, but go and grab that video course. It's literally about gratitude and a bunch of other stuff, mindset and all of that. But gratitude and celebration fires you up. It gets you motivated. It means that you'll take way more action because you, instead of seeing what you've done so far as not good enough, you see it as, yeah, this is a really good foundation. Like the guy who went out and approached 500 women and had 7 dates. Yeah, we could sit there and focus on the fact that he hasn't had second dates and he hasn't had sex, but that just leaves him feeling like a loser. It makes him feel like he's not good enough, like everything he did was just a waste. It wasn't a waste. He did 500 approaches. He built his courage. He built his humility. He built his perseverance and his resilience. He built his dedication. He probably learned a hell of a lot from talking to 500 women. He probably connected to some of those women. He went on 7 dates. He's practicing his social skills. We can look at all the victories and all the things that he's gained, and then we can tell a story of like, wow, yeah, this has actually been good. He's made progress. Yeah, he hasn't had a second date, but that almost doesn't fucking matter. That's just the side effect. That's almost irrelevant to this. This is a self-improvement journey, not a get my goals journey. So many of you are so focused on just the goal, and you're forgetting about the self-improvement journey itself. The point of all of this is not just to get things. We're not here to just get some pussy and get some dollars in our bank account. That stuff will not make you happy. And I think part of you knows that deep down because you see enough people around you who are millionaires and unhappy, or had a ton of sex but not happy. There are so many angry, unhappy people on YouTube, for instance, who have millions of followers, millions of dollars, and yet they're unhappy. Why is drug addiction and criminality, like high-level crime and all of that, so rampant in Hollywood? I mean, is that not very relevant right now? I won't say the name, but I'm sure lots of you know exactly who I'm talking about at this moment in time. October 2024, there is a certain celebrity in the news right now going through all of this stuff. Does that seem like a happy, functional person? A lot of celebrities are not necessarily happy, not really functional, when they have millions and billions of fucking dollars and fame and fortune and all of that, but that stuff that alone doesn't make them happy. It is the gratitude for those things that makes you happy. It is the appreciation of those things that makes you happy. In other words, it is gratitude and celebration. If you appreciate having millions of dollars, then yes, you'll be very happy. If you appreciate having a Lamborghini and it means the world to you and you love it, and every time you look at it, you have tears of joy of all the things that it took to get that Lamborghini, then yeah, that Lamborghini will bring you a lot of happiness every time you look at it. Every time my girlfriend Emmy walks in the door, I smile and feel like crying tears of joy because I'm like, wow, what a beautiful human being. I'm so grateful that she's in my life. Every time I go to one of my coaching calls, I literally at the start feel an immense, tremendous sense of love and appreciation and gratitude for that person, for giving me their time, for giving me their money, for giving me their trust and opening up to me and sharing with me and saying, hey, Andy, I'm going to be very vulnerable with you. Please fucking help me, and please be nice to me, and please don't judge me, and please don't say that there's anything wrong with me. I'm really nervous. Lots of clients, lots of people tell me they're really nervous when we first get on a call. And I will always say, bro, I really appreciate you being here even when you're nervous. Thank you. That's a beautiful gift. So it's that gratitude for my coaching clients. It's that gratitude for my girlfriend. It's that gratitude for my apartment, for my bedroom, for my bed, for the electricity, for the internet, for every single thing that I have in my life. And you don't have to be that grateful, but it feels really nice if you are. But just starting to insert a little bit more gratitude every day. So how do you do that? Set a calendar or a phone reminder that goes off every single night in your phone. And it just says, say 5 things I'm grateful for. And you can either say them to yourself or you can say them to accountability partners. You can say them to your friends. Just start getting in the habit of practicing a little bit or noticing a little bit of gratitude every day. You're basically going hunting for things that you can be grateful for. And practice this every day. Eventually, gratitude starts to just become a way of life. You just walk around feeling grateful. You're grateful to yourself for the little baby steps that you're taking every day. You're grateful to the people that are helping you. You celebrate all of your little wins. You can have the humility to appreciate the tiny little baby steps that you're taking rather than saying, it's not good enough. I should have second dates and sex and marriage and lots of money and Lamborghinis and all of that. There's no end to how far that can go, the moving of the goalposts. Again, to really drill it into you, you can become famous and rich and have millions of dollars and have really hot women falling over you, and it is still possible under those circumstances to be unhappy. The people who have all that stuff and who are happy also have gratitude and appreciation. That is what makes them happy. So often we miss it completely and we focus on just the thing itself. We're like, if I get lots of sex, I will be happy. No, you fucking won't unless you pair it with gratitude and appreciation. To really make it clear, all the sex that I've had, all the money that I've made, the beautiful relationships and connections that I've shared, all the people that I've been able to help and they've given me so much back in return, I am grateful for all of that. That is why those things make me happy. It's not those things themselves. They're almost just a placeholder. They're just a thing that I have in my life, but it's the gratitude that I feel when I think about those things or when I interact with those people or when I have those people or those things in my life. If I'm not grateful, if I'm ungrateful, I won't feel happy. So gratitude and celebration is so damn important. It also gives you the motivation and the energy to keep going. You know, again, like the guy on my YouTube channel who said, I've done 500 approaches, but I haven't gotten a second date. He's focusing on the fact that he hasn't gotten second dates. And he even said, I feel like I've failed, or I feel like I'm failing. I feel like it's not working out. He feels hopeless. He feels lost. He feels like this is my number one biggest struggle. The reason he told us all about that and opened up is because I literally did a video saying, hey, everyone, tell me your biggest struggle right now. That's his biggest struggle. It's causing him suffering. It's causing him pain. It's causing him some frustration and feeling like he's not good enough. And that's because there's a lack of celebration. They're celebrating the little victories and the 7 dates and the 500 approaches. If you can be grateful for every woman that you walk up to and approach, regardless of how the approach goes, regardless of how well you do, regardless of what she says, if you can just be grateful, man, that's 500 opportunities for gratitude. And every date, there's even more appreciation that can happen with that. If you show up to a date with that energy of gratitude, and you're like, hey, I'm super grateful for your time. I'm so glad you're here. Like, this is going to be so fun. I really appreciate you showing up. This is so cool. I can't believe I just walked up to a woman on the street and I hit on you and now you're on a date with me. This is so cool. Isn't this cool? And she'll be like, yeah, I guess it is kind of cool, huh? Like, what made you approach me? And you're like, I don't know. I'm just wanting to get more sexual experience and more dating experience. And you seem so pretty. And I've just been pushing myself out of my comfort zone. And yeah, like I said, I'm so grateful that I live in a world where I can do this. I'm so grateful there are people pushing me with this. I'm so grateful I have accountability partners and mentors and all of that shit. Wow, this is such a beautiful world to be in. She'll be like, wow, this guy has such a big heart and a big open mind. I like this guy. You literally show up with more positive, better energy, and people are more likely to give you the thing that you want when you live a life of gratitude, when you become gratitude itself, when you walk around with the attitude of lovingness towards yourself and other people, and you celebrate everything and you're just a happy, positive person. People want to be around you. And so the more you can be grateful, the more you can celebrate your little victories and celebrate the victories of other people, you know, especially if you have accountability partners, like help them celebrate, be grateful to them. The more you do that, the more people want to be around you and the more people want to give you the thing that you're wanting. Literally, you become more successful if you have a air of gratitude about you, if you practice gratitude and just practice it a little bit every day. You know, I probably think of hundreds of things a day that I'm grateful for, and I express gratitude to my friends, to my family, to Imogen, to girls that we date, to, I think I already said family, to my coaching clients, to all of you. I'm fucking grateful for all of you and how courageous you are. I write that in YouTube comments like every freaking day. The more I express gratitude, the more successful I become because other people want to help me. If I just literally express gratitude to people I go on a date with or coaching clients or people that I interact with, literally they feel really good. And then they go, holy shit, I want this guy to win. This guy's a nice guy. He's just really kind. He's grateful. He made me feel good by telling me he's grateful for me or grateful for this moment we're spending together. He just seems to really appreciate everything. Yeah, I want to give him more because he'll give me more gratitude in return. Literally, if I help him win and help him get towards his goals a little bit, he will give me gratitude in return. I get something in return. This is what I talk about all the time when I say always give value as much as you can. Gratitude is value that you're giving to other people. You make them feel good and then they want to make you feel good in return because for the most part, most human beings are reciprocal. If someone is mean to us, then we want to get revenge. If someone is nice to us and gives us gratitude and love and makes us feel good, we want to give them loyalty or we want to make them feel good in return. Sometimes we want to give them money. Sometimes we want to give them sex. And so gratitude helps you get towards your goals a little bit. All right, so those are the main things that I have found that are really, really helpful with a self-improvement journey. I will repeat them all again. Intention, devotion and dedication, humility. If you have insecurity, that's great. If you don't, that's fine. Accountability, patience, gratitude, and celebration. And my Play to Win video course, like I said, covers literally all of this. You can pay whatever you want for that. You know, you're basically donating to me, which I very much appreciate and I'm very grateful for. You can pay me $1 if that's as little as you would like to pay me, or you can pay me $1 billion if you want to. I don't know how my bank account would take that much money, but if that's something you would like to do, then great. You are very welcome. I give you permission to give me $1 billion. I actually don't know what I would do with $1 billion. I feel like I would donate half of it. No, I'd probably spend a whole bunch of time figuring out like, where the fuck do you donate this much money? I would like do so much researching of like charities and shit like that. I would give a whole bunch of it back to you guys and girls and be like, all right, we got to give some we got to find some way to give this back to the community. I would probably buy a new microphone. My microphone keeps breaking. That would be the first purchase that I would make with your $1 billion. Look at me sounding like a little kid being like, what would I do with $1 billion? Anyway, I appreciate all of you. Pay $1 for the Play to Win video course if you want to. I appreciate literally anything you give me. It's very much appreciated. I'm very grateful. Obviously, if you want accountability and you want help with your self-improvement journey, especially all the stuff we talked about here today, I would very happily love to have you in my coaching program. We have payment plans, so money doesn't have to be a barrier. I'm very happy to jump on a free call with you and talk about your fears and your doubts and your insecurities. And, you can ask me as many questions as you want about the coaching and see if it's right for you. Those calls are very no pressure. Like, I will not put any pressure on you to sign up. I will not do any sales techniques on you. I will literally just say, so do you want to do the coaching? Like, is this what you want? And if you say, nah, I want to go think about it, or nah, I don't think I do, I'll be like, beautiful, man. I love that you know what you want. Or beautiful woman. We have a woman in the coaching program right now, and we've had a few women. But yeah, no pressure. If that's something you want, link is down below. But if you don't do the coaching, look, I can't tell any of you what to do, but I really recommend you grab a copy of the Play to Win video course if you don't already. It literally covers all of this, and it is everything that I learned going from depressed and suicidal to living a life of abundance and joy. It's everything I learned working on all my goals. Like, it's literally the manual of how I've achieved success, and more to the point, how I've been happy with that success. Like I said, the second last chapter is all about how to actually be grateful for what you have and actually appreciate this success. Because I've seen time and time again, so many people will say, I will be happy when. Like, I will be happy when I do my first approach. You go out, you approach a woman and you go, yeah, that didn't last very long. The happiness is gone. Okay, now I'll be happy once a woman goes on a date with me, or once I get a phone number. You get a phone number and you're like, yeah, but I'm unhappy now. I need to do more than this. I need to get a date. You go on a date and you're like, yeah, this is cool, but I won't be happy till I get a second date. Then you go on a second date and you're like, yeah, but I'm not going to be happy till we have sex. And you just keep fucking doing that. And I have seen people that have had sex with like 50 women and started their own business, and they have lots of money, and they're just not happy because they're not appreciating anything. Everything that they do is not good enough. They put this tremendous pressure on themselves to be more, to do more, to achieve more, to have more, and they're not appreciating what they have. There are people that are dirt poor in Africa and Mexico and countries like that, living out in the countryside, earning less in a month than we would earn in 1 hour, and they're happy. How? Because they fucking appreciate what they have. And so it's not about having. Having can be nice, like having things can be beautiful, but it can also just be an excuse to be unhappy. But it is the appreciation of what we have that can help us be happy. So you're all doing an amazing job. I am grateful for all of you. You're all legends. Like I said, the Play to Win video course and coaching, both of those are down in the description below. Give yourself permission to suck with your self-improvement journey. I promise it's okay if you're not perfect with all of the things that I talked about today, but you're all doing a bloody good job. You are all a bunch of absolute bloody legends. And if I could give each and every one of you a hug, I would. And so receive this e-hug over the internet. Imagine that I'm giving you a big hug right now. Holy shit, what a good hug. This is a great hug. You all give great hugs. Holy shit. Go out there. Crush your goals by working on them a tiny little bit every day. You got this.